And it's so great to be back at Creative Live, especially for Photo Week. How exciting. So many cool things going on this week. I have a lot to share with you, and well, there's just so much to share. I hope I can fit it all in. So let's face it, we all need a great headshot, right? Whether it's for a business website, maybe it's for social media. So whether it's for a business website, maybe it's for social media, maybe online dating, or maybe acting, or even a passport photo, believe it or not. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let me ask you, how many of you out there right now are using a headshot that might be a little bit outdated, perhaps? Anybody out there? Okay, I see a couple hands. And why is that? Why do you still have an outdated headshot?
Because I don't like taking my own picture. I don't like having my picture taken very much at all. And I don't feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a common conundrum a lot of people have, is you just don't feel comfortable having your picture taken, and maybe taking your own picture isn't so easy to do. Well, as a professional photographer, of course, I want to say I think you should go out and hire a professional photographer to take your headshot. But maybe you don't have the time, or maybe you don't have the budget, or maybe you're just a little shy in front of the camera. Or if you're like me and a photographer, you want creative control over how the picture turns out. So all those things to consider. So if I were to tell you that you could take your own headshot of yourself by yourself and save a lot of time and a lot of money and actually have a little bit of fun and get a great headshot out of it, would that sound like a good thing?
Yeah,
yes, it would.
That sounds good.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to take you through all kinds of things about how to take a great headshot of yourself. Actually, these two headshots, one is of my sister, in case she looks a little bit familiar. She needed a good business headshot of herself, and she was visiting for Christmas, and I'm going to show off the lights here in just a few minutes. I placed her in front of the lights and gave her something great to wear, and just kind of worked with her in front of the camera to capture that headshot. But that's something that she could also have done by herself if she'd only taken my class. And next to her is also a friend of mine. His name's Dave, and he needed a good headshot for selling real estate in Manhattan Beach. And I had run into him at the grocery store numerous times saying, Dave, you know, you're so much better looking than the headshot that I see in the local newspaper. We need to get a better shot of you. Please let me come take a picture. And he's like, no, I'm terrible in front of the camera. I never take a great shot. But with just a few little tips about what to wear and just kind of guiding him through how to sit and how to pose and things like that, I was able to capture a great headshot of him. So you're going to be able to do the same thing of yourself. So here's what I'm going to cover today. And we're doing it in these segments so I can make sure I get everything in. And I'm going to take it from kind of like the beginning of something really simple, capturing those smartphone selfies that we all do, right? No matter where you are, you're going to get a smartphone selfie somewhere. And I want to show you how to take a better one. And then I'm going to show you how to light attractively because, hey, it's all about the light. I'm standing in some great light right here. So thanks, you guys, for setting that up for me. I'm also going to show you just a little overview on makeup and hair and clothing and jewelry. I'm not getting into full-on depth on that, but just kind of a quick overview on what you want to choose to do in front of the camera that really makes for a professional-looking headshot. And then also I'm going to show you how to shoot with this really cool camera I discovered. It's actually called an attachable lens camera, and I'm going to introduce you to that. And it's fairly inexpensive too. So that's kind of the secret to taking some of these selfies. And I'm going to say selfie in a more professional way. I'm going to elevate the idea of the selfie up to professional headshot. And then I'm going to show you some really cool things you can do with the software that I use to enhance and finish your image. So, ready to get started? I'm excited. And I'm going to show off some pictures that I've taken along the way, also to give you an example of some things. So I'm going to start with Smartphone selfies. So we've all seen this one, right? It's the picture of someone or yourself in the bathroom mirror, which is like, oh, these are so typically so awful because no one wants to see your purple towels in the background or whatever. We just want to see you, and we want it to be more professional. Obviously, this isn't going to work so great on a LinkedIn business professional site, is it? And I also wanted to differentiate and make sure we're totally clear on the difference between a headshot and a portrait. So headshots are what we're going to be focusing on today. And for a headshot that you see, say in social media, it's cropped in pretty close, right? Now this is my friend Maria. I took her headshot for her. She does acting and she's got a business and she's very lifestyle oriented. So she wanted to have something that was fresh and vivacious, and so we picked this particular sweater, and I'm going to show you how I lit it and how you can light that for yourself. That headshot is pretty evenly lit. I wouldn't call it flat lighting. You can still see a gradation of tone across her face, but it's open and it's light. Now for a headshot, for really any professional use, you want to make sure it's pretty evenly lit. If it's dark on one side and you have that profile shot, say on your real estate page or something, people are going to think you have something to hide. So you want to make sure that it's pretty evenly lit. So a headshot opposed to a portrait. A headshot is a type of portrait. A portrait can be many different things. This one's much more artistic, isn't it? It incorporates more of the body. It could be really much freer and just much more creative, I'd say, really in the portrait process. But the headshot's very specific. Okay, so working with an iPhone, just a couple little tips. Where you hold the iPhone if you're taking the selfie is kind of important. So this is not that attractive an angle. That's a better angle. Up at eye level or a little bit above eye level. And I'm just going to show you this picture. Have a couple more pictures to show you before I get to the demo. This is the photograph. This is a selfie of a selfie. So I was actually out by my pool and I needed to get a graphic, a picture for this course to show off the course, how to take your own headshot. So I'm going to give you the tips and techniques on how you can do that if you need to, but how basically we're going to operate another camera with the iPhone. So that's how I captured that shot. And notice it's in great lighting. I've got on a shirt that really pops, and my background is the pool water, which makes actually for a nice photograph. So just starting off with an example for taking selfies, I just walked outside at my condo complex and there's this beautiful green wall out there, and it was later in the day, so there was some open shade. Now in this picture you can see there's some brighter light and then just the even open shade, so I made sure I stood in the open shade, and this was the picture I was able to capture, which is, it's okay. I've got the phone out at arm's length. I have pretty long arms, so it gets far enough away so I don't have too much of a big nose shot, but I'm still not crazy about this picture because even though it's a solid background, not distracting, I cropped it in, I've got on a nice color shirt, I'm turned a certain way, the background kind of makes my eyes pop out, all that. I think my nose looks big. My nose looks big in this because the camera is still really too close to my face and it's sort of a wide angle look, so not all that attractive. So hence my give yourself room to zoom whenever you're taking photos of someone or someone's taking a photo of you, or if you're taking a photo of yourself. The farther away you hold the camera or the longer the lens, the better you're going to look. So it's a better perspective. So I've offered up the really ugly shot of myself with the big nose, like up close, wide angle, and then the shot that says do beneath it. Well, that's where I've stepped back from the camera and it's a much more flattering perspective. So what I wanted to show you next is using the smartphone. I'm using today, just so you know, the iPhone 5S, but you could use any smartphone for this. So I'm using a smartphone with an extender and a remote. So I've got the iPhone in my pocket, and I've got a remote right here that I'm using that's connected. It's paired to my phone. Well, let's hope it's still paired to my phone via Bluetooth. So basically I've turned this on and I've opened up Bluetooth on my smartphone and I've paired it. So this is talking to this. So now what I'm going to do is use one of these. It's like I call it the smartphone extender, and they come in all different shapes and colors and varieties, and oh my gosh. Okay, so this just happened right before we went on air, and everybody was laughing about it, but basically what happens is, because I've got this shutter remote turned on, not only is it going to control my camera for taking photos, but if you accidentally hit the wrong button, it turns on your music. So, just so you know. So I have to be careful not to hit the middle button, but to hit the top buttons where I'm actually taking the photograph. I know I was kind of freaking out right before we went on air. It's like, oh my gosh, where's that music coming from? Anyway, so let me set this down so I can do this easily. Basically, I've got an extender, and this one is, okay, you have to kind of twist it to open it up a little bit. So this actually will let me hold my iPhone out a little farther away from my face. And on the top of this is something called the eye stabilizer, and it's a little grip. And they come in different sizes. So if you have an Android phone or a Windows phone or Samsung phone, whatever it is, it's bigger, you can get one that will fit that too. And it also can tilt. So I've got a little button here I'm using to twist it and tilt it. So I've got it set up. Now I'm going to put the iPhone in it. And there are a couple different things you can do. I've got, let me move on to the next slide to show you. This is how I use it, and this is how I used it against the wall. And I use a couple different apps to shoot with. I happen to like Camera Awesome. It's by SmugMug because it's kind of awesome. It just gives you some nice different effects and different ways you can control actually capturing the picture. And then I retouch. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I retouch a lot of my photos, but I try to do it in a way where it looks really natural. So I use the Facetune app to retouch, and I'm going to give you a little demo of that. So right now, what I need to do, guys, is tether my iPhone so you can see it on the screen. So while we're getting the tether together, I'm going to open up the Camera Awesome app, and I'm going to, thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm just plugging this in so you can see it on the screen. And when I just want to make sure that when you put your smartphone into the little clip, that you're not touching the volume buttons here, because that starts to do wonky things to your phone that you don't want to have happen. Okay, so what's happening right now is I have the iPhone in kind of a horizontal landscape position, and for some reason it doesn't show up that way on the screen. So what I'm going to do is tilt it, and I'm going to put it into the vertical position, which I can do like this, just by tilting it over. And so now it's going to show up correctly on screen. And now I'm going to move over here in front of the lights. I don't know if you can see these over here. The way I wanted to really start this, and now you get to see the whole studio. Now I'm going to flip the camera around and use the FaceTime camera that's on me. Hello! So the way I really wanted to start with this is to make it super simple. So anyone can do it. You don't have to have a lot of money. We're obviously in a studio. There's no natural light here, so we're just using studio lights. And I've actually brought in my home studio lighting kit. These are 2 daylight balanced soft boxes. I'm just going to flip it towards you here. And it's nice, soft, daylight balanced lights, which sort of emulate, say, window light or being outside in open shade. So I like to use these lights a lot, and you can pull them in or push them back, you know, to adjust the light. And I'm standing in front of a gray backdrop, which is very much like, say, the solid color wall that was out by my condo complex, or you could find a nice solid color wall somewhere else. Just make sure if you're standing somewhere near it, you don't get all the way up to it where maybe you see a shadow or something, kind of stand back from it a little bit. And I'm actually kind of looking a little blown out right now, which is good. It's getting rid of all the wrinkles. But what I'm going to do is go in and make a couple adjustments. So I can tap this little button down here, and I can choose my shooting mode. I think it's in stabilizer mode. I'm just going to choose camera mode. And I can also choose other settings in, if I want to export it to my camera roll, use different, say a different location. I can pinch to zoom. I can control all kinds of things with this. I can also go into effects and choose different effects if I want to awesomize the picture afterwards. But right now, actually, I'm just going to tap and hold on my face. I've got my finger on the screen. You may not be able to see it on the screen, but I'm touching my face with my finger on the screen to expose better. So now what I've got is the backdrop, me in a nice solid color blue top, which tends to photograph well. I'm pinching in on the screen to zoom in a little bit closer to me. Okay, so now I'm kind of turning myself a little bit, and I've got a little angle going on, and now I've got to go find the shutter remote. There it is. Okay, and make sure that when I press it that I'm not turning on the music. Okay, let's take the shot. And you also want to make sure that when you're looking at yourself in the LCD screen, that when you take the shot, you actually are looking into the lens. If you don't look right into the lens, you're going to look like Marty Feldman when you get your headshot back. Not an attractive look. Okay, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, and smile. And I'm not paired right now, but let's say I was, and if I were to tap it, it was going to take the shot. Fortunately, my arm's pretty long, and I'm just going to tap the shutter button. I've still got this out a lot farther than my arm would be able to reach, and my arm is not in the shot. So one of the things with the Bluetooth remotes is sometimes they get a little testy, and you might have to repair them. And I'm not going to drag you through that right now, but you get the idea. So I'm going to take one more. All right, so I've taken a couple shots, and I've set this up to, it's actually got kind of a filter on it. I think on Camera Awesome, it calls it Awesome Eyes, which is okay, but it also saved it into my camera roll. So if I take this out of here now, out of the extender, and look at my pictures on my camera roll, I'm going to pull it up, and there's one, there's two. Okay, a couple things on this that I would probably want to perfect, because when I'm taking headshots of myself, I've got plenty of time, right? I don't have to worry about someone getting exasperated with me on the other side of the lens. I can just do what I need to do to look good, and I can see myself in the LCD. So I've got a little button that's glistening. It's kind of distracting. That's what you want to do, is cut out all distractions when you're taking the headshot. I'm looking a little bit shiny, so I would say I probably would have put a little more powder on. And I always bring powder with me. In fact, I have a powder that I like to use. It's just kind of I got it at the pharmacy, at the drugstore. And it's just invisible shine control. So it works with pretty much any skin tone. You don't have to worry about matching skin tone, and I may dab some on in a minute when I get another hand. Okay, so I've got this picture. It's in my camera roll. I want to improve this photograph because I'm going to pinch and zoom in and go, you know, it's okay. Actually, the makeup artist did a great job on my skin. But I still want to get rid of a few little wrinkles and things I might not want to have in my headshot. Here's my digital logic, okay? HD cameras are super high resolution. They're capturing more detail than our eyes actually normally see of a person in real life. So that's why my logic is retouch it so it looks normal, but do it in a way where it's, you know, it's natural looking. So I'm going to go back and open up the app that I was showing you here called Facetune. And this is cross-platform. It works on both Apple and Android. It's, I think, $3 or something in the Apple Store, $2.99. So you open it up, and I hit the little camera at the top, and now I'm going to open a photo. So I'm going to go to my camera roll and open up one of these photos. You're going to be amazed at how easy this is to do. So I just captured a, you know, solid color top behind a solid color background. Looking okay, but I'm going to kind of fix it up a little bit. So I'm just going to guide you through this. You need to, I would twist it to the side, but it works better if you look at this vertically. Everything works. You can see all the tools here at the bottom. I can do everything from whiten my teeth to smooth my skin. So I think smooth my skin is what I'm going to start with. So I'm just going to pinch to zoom in on those lovely wrinkles. I'm going to choose the smooth tool down below in the lower left. And then I just take my finger on the screen and just kind of paint over the wrinkles. Now that it's subtle, they're sort of going away, but not completely. I still want to look real. I just want it to be softened a little bit. And you see that little blue button in the lower right corner? If I tap on that, I can compare and see before, after, before, after. Ooh, I'm an instant dermatologist. So in the lower left is the move key. I'm going to tap that to move over to the other eye, and I'm going to tap the smooth little tool, and I'm just going to rub under that eye. I also decided I'm going to do a couple other things to this picture too, but while I'm at it, I'm going to move around and, oh, it's like you get to see my dirty underwear drawer here. It's like, I'm going to just get rid of these wrinkles on my neck. Yes, Mom, you're right. I should have worn sunscreen when I was in my 20s at the beach, but I didn't. So I'm just going to rub over my neck and just kind of get rid of some of those. All right. So I'm going to tap on the move key again. I'm going to go back to the original photo. I'm going to tap on that little blue button in the lower right. See before, after, before, after. I just got rid of a little right there. Maybe a couple more things, say on the forehead. Although, you know, Erin, the makeup artist here, did such a good job on me that I almost don't have to do too much. Okay, so I'm done. Now I may want to whiten my teeth, but first I have to commit to the change. There's a little check mark at the top, so I'm just going to tap that. And I may want to do a little teeth whitening. There's a teeth whitening tool right there. And I just rub my finger over my teeth. Boom, boom. It's subtle, but that's what you want it to be. And I might kind of whiten up my eyes a little bit. Yes, I could have gotten a little more sleep last night, but I'm going to make my eyes look brighter and whiter. I'm going to commit to that change at the top. And one more thing, I'm going to tap the detail tool at the bottom. And what this does is just kind of really make your eyes pop out. You have to be a little careful with it. I'm just going to kind of run over my eyes like that and commit to the change, and boom! I've got a headshot that I could use. I could actually go in and I could maybe make this button look not as shiny and make it kind of go away. There's some other tools in here where you can actually, it's called the patch tool. It's like, how many of you here use Photoshop? Photoshop Elements, okay. Pretty much everyone. So it has a lot of things here, a lot of tools here that it's like using Photoshop, but it's instant. So let's say you want to take a great headshot, you're out and about, you want to post it to Facebook like today, like right now. I could do that right now with this photograph. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little share button. I'm just going to tap on it, and I'm going to save this to my camera roll. Ta-da! So that's how fast you can create a good-looking portrait. I'm going to go back to, so that was the before, wait, I'm sorry, it goes in, it puts it in at the very last picture. So I might want to go in and do some cropping. And just a little note, when you're cropping, it's a good idea to get the eyes in the upper third of the image. That's something called the rule of thirds, and it just makes the image look more compelling. That's immediately where your eyes are going to go in the photograph. You don't need any headroom really above the head. Sometimes they even crop off the head a little bit. And I'm cropping out anything that maybe isn't important in the picture. Maybe I'll even crop out that button that I wanted to get rid of, and I'll hit crop, and there you go. So I've got a decent portrait that I can share, and that's just doing the selfie part. Now I wanted to move on to making things, a little more interesting and kind of showing you how to back up a little bit and really pay attention to some of the things I was pointing out in the pictures I was showing you about clothing and hair and makeup and things you can do to really make sure the portrait, the headshot that you're taking, looks more professional. So first off, there's some things you don't want to do. You don't want to wear a wild-looking shirt. In fact, I have some wild shirts that we could show as an example. So here I am in this picture in a lovely black and white polka dot shirt with green earrings, all right? This is a definite no. These are like Christmas ear bobs that should only come out for some wild, wacky party after midnight. But this is probably not a great choice for a portrait because it's distracting, and that's what you want to do, get rid of any distractions. And for guys, you might have this great shirt that you love to wear out and about. This is my friend Dave, and he looks really good in this shirt, but it's kind of distracting when you're on camera, when you're in front of the lens. Your eyes immediately go to what in this photo? Yeah, you go to the checkers, maybe the paisley here, the paisley here, you look at his eyes, but you're mainly looking at the shirt. A better idea might be to do something like this, where it's a nice solid color. And Kate's gonna fly in some shirts that I brought to show. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna show you some do's and some don'ts for my own personal wardrobe. And this is one, actually, I was going to put it on, but maybe not. This is a shirt that's actually a turtleneck. And turtlenecks look kind of mod and groovy, right? I wear turtlenecks a lot, especially in the winter, but not in a photograph, because it just kind of, you have a floating head. The head's just kind of there, and you don't look very open. I'm going to throw this to you. Thank you very much. So you don't want to wear a turtleneck. You want to wear a shirt with an open neck, maybe kind of like this, but not in a fabric like this that's kind of wild and distracting. So this is sort of similar to my friend Dave's wild and wacky shirt that he had on. And then this is a shirt that I put on in that picture. It's kind of mod and groovy. I think I got it for a 60s flashback party or something, but not so great in a photograph because it's just too distracting. On to some things that would be good. I think I just picked this up at the Gap. It's just a good, nice cotton shirt. It's teeny weeny little stripes, but these stripes are not going to moire on camera and kind of distort, especially far enough away. It just kind of looks solid. So it's a nice solid color looking shirt, and collars tend to look better on people, especially if you just kind of want to hide some of the neck. Okay, so for business, let's say you wanted to do a business type headshot and you're thinking, wow, should I wear a bright white shirt? Should I wear a psychedelic shirt? Should I wear a shiny shirt? No, you should wear a shirt that's flattering on you, but think about like pastel colors like this. This is a kind of a light blue, and it fits really well. In fact, it's kind of stretchy, so when I have it on, you don't see a lot of pulls and things like that. So make sure that the shirt you have is solid. Pastel is good. It's better than white. Sometimes white, especially if someone has on a white shirt and a black suit, just too much contrast. And if you're already a photographer and you've taken pictures of people that way, sometimes it's hard to expose for that. And then this is a suit that kind of goes well with it. So just kind of a nice dark gray suit. So these are things that not only if you've got people you're taking headshots of, but headshots of yourself. And as photographers, sometimes we are like the cobblers with no shoes, aren't we? We're busy taking pictures of all these other people, but we don't have our own photograph. So these are things that you may go over with some of your clients, but now you need to start thinking about it for yourself. Okay, I have a whole section of my closet that's like camera clothes, on-camera clothes, and this is one of them. I bought this at a store. I think I have it in every color. It's a V-neck, 3/4 sleeve. Ladies, this is a great on-camera shirt. Men and women, wearing short sleeves on camera just doesn't work that well, because if you get cropped here, you see a little bit of arm and it looks like a sausage. Not good. Okay, here's that shirt again in another color. In fact, I was almost going to wear this today because I love blue, and it really pops on camera. So oftentimes if someone's eyes are blue, green, gray, they'll look good in these blues. So just some ideas. And this is actually a shirt that I wore I'm going to show you some other photographs near the end of the presentation. A shirt that I wore to really punch. So I knew I was going to shoot on a white background, and I wanted it to really jump. I wanted my headshot to just jump out on the screen. So I thought, red and white and blonde. Okay. So think about the color combos of your hair and your skin and what's going to really pop and really show up in a headshot. I'm going to hand these back to you. Thank you. So that was on clothing, but also just a little tip on makeup. Make it natural, and especially here when I show you this really cool software editing program, you're going to think, I didn't even have to put makeup on. You're going to look great once you use this editing software. But keep it simple. You just don't want it to be distracting. You don't want it to look like you're going to, that it's a fashion shoot. Really, if you're doing a headshot for business, professional use, even if it's like a lifestyle kind of look, you want it to look natural and pretty. And if you've got earrings like I was showing you before, the green, those are kind of a wild example, but wear something small. Like right now I have on, these are my favorite little earrings that I like to wear. And they don't pop too much, they're not too shiny, but it's just a little bit of my personality. So I wouldn't say don't get much bigger than this. So something very small. And necklaces are distracting, and guys, you know, if you're taking a portrait and it's going to be cropped anywhere where your arms are in it, take off your watch and big rings and things like that, because it's just like, it's too distracting. All right, so now we've kind of talked about how to quickly get your selfie shot if you need it on the fly, how to look good, whether it's makeup, hair. Oh, the other thing, hair. So those of you that have taken shots of other people, you've noticed when you have to go in and do the Photoshop retouching, you got some errant hair or whatever going all over. So again, on yourself, you know, just use a little product or something to make sure you don't have to do a lot of Photoshopping later with the hair. Okay, so now I wanted to get into lighting and backdrops, and I just started off really simple here because it is super easy and super simple to get started. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You could just be outside in natural light and, you know, be taking a selfie of yourself on the extender stick and have it look great. But maybe there's some other cool gadgets that you want to try out that you can think about getting, and I'm going to kind of be bringing some of those in as we go through this and show how to take some amazing pictures that way. So what I'm going to start with now is just kind of showing off the lights and showing you what I'm using, what's really easy to use. I briefly showed you these home studio lighting kit lights. It's got a diffusion panel on the front, and it's a daylight balance bulb. I've got my hand on it. It's, you know, it's a little warm, but it's basically cool to the touch. And it's got this reflective softbox, so it produces really nice, pretty light, whether you've got this diffusion panel on it or not. And there are two of them. And this is actually my kit. It's called the Erin Manning Home Studio Lighting Kit, just in case you're wondering. This is something I do with Westcott, and I use this for all my video shoots too. But I just like kind of dragging these around wherever I'm at. I've even, you know, just take it off and sometimes just use it however I need to use it, but it's nice and daylight balanced. And I've got this backdrop back here, but there's another backdrop I wanted to show you. Maybe you don't have a solid color wall, or maybe you don't have room for a big backdrop like this. And really, you know, I want this to appeal and to everyone, to know that anyone can do this, whether you're a total beginner, have never picked up a camera before, all the way up to a seasoned pro, and everyone in between. There are all kinds of tools that you can use. So I'm showing these off, but what I wanted to move to next is I'm going to show you how to set up this really cool backdrop. And I use this, and yeah, Kate, you can bring that in, thanks. It's called the X-Drop, and it's super light, and actually it folds up to about this long. These legs are just pulled out right now. And I use this all the time for backdrops. So it's got a decent sized footprint, but you can also bring the back leg in a little bit. So you set it up like this, and thank you, and it's got these 3 poles you just pop in like so. And the backdrop itself is 5 by 7. I'm going to go over here and get it. It's a 5 by 7 backdrop. And you can get them in all different colors. Don't step on it. I'm using the white one, just because I kind of like the white background. And there are these little hooks up here. You just put it on the hooks, like that. Line it up, and try not to knock it over. And so I've got it on these hooks, and then there's some hooks on the bottom. And once I get this all set up, then the magic begins. And it all happens back there. But basically what I'm going to do is just lengthen these poles so it stretches out the entire backdrop. And you can use this anywhere. And it's great. It's a perfect size for headshots. So I'm just going to raise these like so. Now I've got this in white. I've got it in a green screen. I've got a gray one, a black one. I've got all different colors. And you just pop it on.
Hey, Erin?
Yeah.
Could you give us a general price point on that piece right there? It's lovely.
Yes.
A ballpark.
This is $129.
Oh, that's really affordable.
It is. And
Cool.
actually, if you go to my website, erinmanning.com, I have put together a whole page where you can go using all the products that are here in the course. So you can go in and see them and see how much they cost, but it's super affordable. Great. And you know, comes with the backdrop. So boom, there you go.
Thank you.
So this is a great backdrop to use, and I'm just going to put it over here because I've got the lights. I'm going to stand this over here, and it's just super light. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this outside on a windy day unless you have a lot of sandbags to hold it down, but inside it's perfect. So this is what I'll use as the white backdrop, and I can light that up. And then I'm going to have you fly in the stand over there, and I'm going to show you something else I like to use called, has anyone ever seen this before? It's the ice light. It's very Star Wars. But basically it's an LED light, it's dimmable, and I take it with me everywhere. This is also on my website, erinmanning.com, and you can turn it and twist it and get all kinds of great light, especially if you happen to have a reflector. And this is something else, I don't know if I showed you or not, it's called the Pocket Pack. And inside is a 12-inch reflector and a diffuser. And I use this, I know, woo, all the time, especially for selfies, because it's instant, it's small, and it's great light. So I can, you know, hello, I go everywhere like this. Nice to meet you. I don't go anywhere without my Pocket Pack. So, you know, even without that, if I was in some other kind of light, I use this, and this is like under $20. So I use this all the time when I'm traveling, especially for selfies and headshots on my own. All right, so back to the ice light. What I'm going to do is attach it to this Manfrotto bendy arm. I just discovered this thing. It's so cool. It, yes, it bends like that. So all I need to do, there's a 1/4-20 attachment here at the bottom of the ice light, and I can just, well, it turned off while I was screwing it on. So I'm just going to pop it onto this, like so, and turn it back on, and pop it on here. And I've just got a little connector that fits just like that. So now I've got this light, and I can pretty much put this anywhere I want to, in any direction. I used to have some other kind of arm that held this, and it was kind of wonky. This is just really super simple. So I've got this, and if I want to do some lighting, you know, whichever way I want to do it, if I've got my phone or I've got a reflector, I can be sitting, I can be standing, and I've got this, and I've got my backdrop. So I can kind of be mobile and move things around. But let me also show you. So the lighting and the backdrops, I'm showing you the equipment right now, but I also wanted to go back so I don't overwhelm anyone with, we've got all this equipment, you have to have all this equipment. You don't. It's really cool to have, but keep in mind that you can be shooting in natural light in open shade. This is one of my favorite places to shoot. This is my friend Pat, and she's standing in the open shade of an open doorway. And another friend of mine who is standing just beneath the shade of a tree. And as you watch me kind of set this up, I'm going to take you to the next setup. And this is something I did in my living room. Same setup, the two lights, the white backdrop. I've got the ice light here, and it's on the stand. And then that's the chair, and in the chair is my reflector, because that's where I was sitting when I took this picture for my passport. I have a friend that's gone to 2 different passport places to get her picture taken. She's not happy with either one. Call it vain, but you have to look at it for 10 years, right? So why not take your own? So this is how I did the setup, and this is what I'm about to do here. And of course, if you're an actor or an actress, you might want something a little more dramatic. And this is my dark living room. I had one of these home studio lights. It's just constant light. And this is a picture of Janina, and she needed a good acting, modeling headshot that looked very dramatic for this play she was doing. So that's what we were able to capture with a very similar setup. Except, if you look at her picture, you'll notice in the background, it looks kind of modeled, right? Okay. That's the setup shot. And this is what the other thing I wanted to show you is so many fun things to play with and cool gadgets. I admit it, I am a scarf addict. I have scarves in like probably every color, everywhere, for everything. And this is one that I used in that particular picture as just like a fun little backdrop. Do you see the shoji screen behind Janina in the photograph? Well, I just threw this scarf over the shoji screen in the background, and I could easily just throw this scarf over this too and have this be a different looking background. So equipment and backdrops and all that stuff is a great thing, but also just keep in mind that you can use other things to be creative with. Not only using scarves, say, to put around people, which I often use in a lot of my own headshots because maybe there's a color that I really love that I think, you know, I look good in, and that's what I want to have the headshot be in. And so I may actually put this on for one of the headshots I'm going to take with that other camera because it's a great color, and if you're taking a close-in headshot, maybe this is a little more lifestyle, not so business, but you've got another option for color. And then there's this one. I think I'm going to start juggling. I'm going to learn how to juggle with this one. But there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. So back to the setup. So we're working through this. I've got the ice light, I've got the 2 home studio lighting kit lights, and the next thing I want to bring in is, let's do the attachable lens camera. Oh, okay. It's right there. All right. So I'm going to set up the camera first, and then I'm going to bring in the other piece of lighting equipment. Is it okay to set this here?
Yeah.
Or is this
right on the spot that we had it? I have it marked. Here, I'll help you.
Okay. So I'm just going to get the camera in its place, and then I'm going to fly in the reflector. We may have to do some adjusting here. I'll move this over. So we're going in, it's kind of a modular setup here. You can do all kinds of different things. So I had the little reflector, right? So this is something, whoops, this is something a little bigger. This is called, this is the eye lighter. I love this thing. I just discovered it. So I think I'm going to just travel around with this everywhere I go. It just looks better already. So this is a little more expensive than my $20 pocket pack. This is $2.99, and it's also listed on my website. But you know, if you like gadgets and you're thinking about investing in additional things, it's something to consider. So I'm just going to pick it up and move it over here because this is where we're going to be shooting. All right here. And it's kind of at a tilt right now. It's about at a 30-degree tilt, I would say. So I'm going to move in the ice light a little bit closer because I want this light to give me some light that's going to bounce down on the reflector, like so. So this is all set. I've got lights on the white backdrop. So this is like a really cool lighting setup, don't you think? I think so. Well, I'm going to take some pictures and show it off. All right, get the scarves over here. And at this point, what I'm going to do is introduce you to the actual attachable lens camera that we're going to move to. I love all kinds of tools to play with, and you know, it's not necessary, but this one's really going to help. This was kind of the answer to my problem that I was having with taking selfies, or using the timer with a selfie, or using the remote, which are all workable, but this makes it even cooler. So what it is an attachable lens camera, if you can see the picture there. Basically what it does is it is an actual camera in of itself, but it doesn't have an LCD screen on it. So what you need to do is you can either attach it to your smartphone, and this actually has its own Wi-Fi connection. You don't have to be in Wi-Fi, you just have to turn on this lens. So the Wi-Fi connection of the lens connects with your smartphone. So all I have to do, if I want to use it, is turn it on. And once it turns on, then I need to go to my settings and make sure that the Wi-Fi is connected. So I go to settings, tap on Wi-Fi, and in a second I see the Wi-Fi for this pop up, and there it is. It says direct, all these different letters after it, and I know that that's it. So I have to do this because I'm using an iPhone 5S. I have to connect through my Wi-Fi. If you have an Android or a Windows phone or the new iPhone 6, that has NFC, near field communication, which means it's going to instantly pair. So your phone is going to be talking with the lens immediately. So why do you want your phone to talk to the lens? Well, you want your phone to be able to control the lens from wherever you're at. I like to take the lens off this and actually put it on a tripod across the room. And I can put it anywhere. You could use it as a spy camera if you wanted to, but it takes great headshots. And the other cool thing too about this is, oh, I'm still on my phone. Can I switch back to the keynote? Okay. The other cool thing about this attachable lens is it takes a micro SD memory card. That's that little teeny weeny memory card, and it comes with an adapter that's the SD memory card size that you can pop into your computer or card reader. So that's inside this lens. So I've got a 64 gigabyte card in there right now. So you know, you're always running out of room on your smartphone with videos and apps and music and whatever it is you've got on there. But now I can store all the pictures on here, which is great. The other thing is it's got a lens that zooms out farther, and it's a much higher quality lens than you have on your smartphone. So you're going to get a better photograph out of this attachable lens camera. Now there are two that I'm using. One is called the QX10, and that is this one here. Look how tiny this is. It just is on a little strap. Da, 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 da. And this has a 1/4 mount on it, so I could mount this on a tripod also. So there's this lens, and this sells for like, I think it's about $169 or something. And it's got a 10 times optical zoom. So it's going to zoom out pretty far. And it uses a Sony lens, as opposed to this one that's a little more pricey. This is called the QX100, and this has an optical zoom of 3.6, but it's a Carl Zeiss lens, which is a pretty nice lens. And it's also a fast lens. It shoots at f1.8 if you want it to. But I'll show you how we're going to control it through the iPhone. So this is kind of like my magic sauce that I've discovered for taking photos of myself and having them look good because I can see what's going on. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, the way that it works is once you get it attached, you're going to be using something you need to download from the App Store, cross-platform, when it works on Android or iPhone. It's called the Sony Play Memories app. So this is the shooting app that you're going to use. So first you connect the Wi-Fi connection, then you turn on the app. And I just quickly want to show you a couple pictures I took. This is one I took of myself this last weekend, and I took it in the hallway of my condo complex. All right, so there I am, I'm in the stairwell, and above me is a nice big skylight, and it's all white walls. And I've got a reflector that I'm just holding up. I've got on that shirt I showed you, the V-neck, 3/4 sleeve, solid color shirt in a flattering color. And then I've got this on a tripod placed up in the laundry room. And you know, I positioned it and everything, and just took pictures. And that's the one I was able to capture. And just another little story, up late one night, needed a new headshot for a video class I was teaching called How to Create Your Own Marketing Video the Easy Way. And I wanted a course graphic. I took this picture of myself at like 2 in the morning, same setup here without even this. It was just these two lights and this. And I was playing around with, I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be fun if it looked like I was pushing a play button you know, for my video course graphic. So this is, I took a bunch of different shots. Well, my finger's a little off kilter there. Now it's more on kilter. And then I went and bought a play icon and just stuck it on there, put a little opacity on the play icon, and that was my course graphic. So just kind of sharing a little story with you about how I created an instant headshot that was helping to market myself. And then I just cropped the other one and I use that as my headshot now. And I'm still experimenting with different headshots. On this particular one, it just so happened that my top of my head was kind of cropped off, which I don't really mind, but for some formats, it's not the right size. So I'm still kind of playing around with what my new branding headshot's going to look like. And just a little tidbit, and this is what I did to capture a picture of myself out at the pool. Same setup with this. I had this, you can't see it in the shot because this is taking the picture of me right there, but I'm looking at myself using my phone as the monitor. And then I just look into camera, and this is the shot I was able to capture. So that's what we're going to do here. And okay, so now you can go back to my phone. I'm driving you guys crazy back there, lots of switching around. Okay, so quickly I'm going to show you how we're going to use this camera to take some shots. I'm also possibly going to have somebody come up from the class and get in one of the pictures after I show you how this works. So right now I'm attached Wi-Fi. I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to go and open up my Play Memories mobile app. And it's searching. Okay, so it found me. So that's what I'm looking like right now on this camera. So this is my monitor. So I'm going to get in my place over here and notice that, wow, I've got the camera probably not pointing in the right direction. So I'm going to get out here and move it around so it's maybe this way a little bit. I think I kind of moved stuff around from when we first set it up. Okay, so now I can see myself in the camera. I'm going to turn it to the side so you can see me better. So this is what I've got going on here. There's some settings in the lower left-hand corner. I can tap on it and I can adjust all kinds of things, the white balance. One important thing is your save options. And if you want the picture to save on both the phone and the memory card, then you turn it to on. And in this instance, I'm going to do that just because I want things to instantly show up on the phone. So I'm going to go back. And all I'm going to do is zoom in on myself. If you can kind of see that T in the lower right-hand corner, I'm going to tap on it. And it should zoom in on me. Sometimes it gets a little slow. It's like thinking. But, okay, there we go. Boop, 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 boop. And I'm going to come in a little bit more. Okay, so this is a 3.6 optical zoom. The other camera zooms farther, but I think I like this lens a little bit better, just as far as quality's sake. But either one. So I just kind of position myself in here. Okay, I'm kind of moving around. And because I'm standing, I'm not sitting, I can sort of move within it. And I'm going to make sure that wrinkles maybe are not happening. And I'm going to make sure I'm looking in the actual camera itself. I'm going to look at myself here in the lens and get situated. I'm going to move my iPhone out of the way. I'm going to look and smile into the lens. And I just hover my finger over the shutter button here. And now it's fetching the picture. And that's it. So I just took, and I could really kind of move around and play around a little bit in how this works. So I might say move up, move down, adjust myself a little bit. And I'm going to do some cropping too. So I've decided, I know that this is my better side after lots of research. And I'm going to make sure that that's the side that's in camera. I'm looking at my monitor and adjusting this and getting the hair done. I'm looking in this camera now. I've got to review my iPhone to see what I'm doing. But now I'm looking in that camera. I'm going to come down just a tad and smiling, and it took the shot. Okay, so now I've got a couple shots to work with. We have, let's see, Sanse is part of our studio audience, and she kindly agreed to be a subject for this, to come in, and after having watched everything that I do here to create it, to try and do it herself. So
I did agree to this.
all right, so how do you feel about it, Sanse?
I'm good.
You ready?
Do you want me to come now?
Come on up.
All right.
Come on
See
down.
how this works.
So come in this way.
I'm a little technologically, what's the word I'm looking for? Lacking. So
You
I
feel
just-
like you're technologically lacking?
So I'm okay with an iPhone. So I think we'll see how this goes.
Okay, okay, good. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just that camera talking to this.
Okay.
Is all it is. So there we both are. Ooh, let's take a
Oh yes,
let's
do it
take a
together.
group shot
Yes, yes,
together.
yes.
Okay, so we're gonna look there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But first we want to make sure we look good here.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Let's fix this.
Okay,
We're
and
good.
1, 2, and we're gonna look.
Oh
at-
wait, which one? This one or
We're,
this one?
we're gonna look there.
Okay, here we
And
go.
here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Did I blink?
I don't know.
I
And-
did.
And we
Oh,
could,
I knew it. I knew I did.
and we could. Oh, she did.
I did. I could tell.
All right. We'll try one
Let's
more.
do that again.
And then we'll have her do some on her own.
Okay.
Okay. So we're using this as our monitor. We're looking in here to make sure we look good. Getting the fluff up the hair.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Fluff and puff. All right. And here we go.
I did not blink that time.
And let's see. Okay, looking good. Now
Look good.
it's a little overexposed. We could do some adjusting with the lighting, but we're also going to do some things in working in the software editing program. So let's go back, and I'm going to have you hold this.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do, and this is what I would do while I'm taking my own headshot too, is if I'm looking in the camera, I need to make adjustments. I'm thinking, okay, I need some powder. So I'm going to powder and, just make sure nothing's too glisteny. And you know what, guys? For you too, invisible powder. You can wash it off before you go home, but you got to put powder on because shine is so distracting. Perfect portraits need powder. How do you like that for alliteration?
Alliteration, yes.
And I'm going to use the other side of it, if you don't mind, and I'm going to do some on you too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And we're gonna take down the shine a little bit.
Thank you.
And also just little things that you'll notice when you're starting to really look into the screen and see how you're looking is
Fix my
it's like,
part.
okay, so we want to fix our hair a little bit and make sure that we don't have too much to navigate later when we're trying to retouch. And I'm gonna move this just a tad.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And you want to kind of come in to this a little bit
I'm gonna come in
closer.
here. Okay.
Yep, and I might move. So these are all things you'll be adjusting yourself
Okay.
because you really can do this yourself, okay? You don't have to have anybody help you. And you might actually want to back up just a little bit.
Back, I'm
There you
backing.
go.
Right there?
Yeah, back up, and now come forward a little bit. Look at yourself in the LCD
Okay, I'm gonna
too.
look here. Okay, I keep trying
And
to look
see,
there. And I should
yeah,
look here.
yeah, so you want to look
Okay.
there, and I might, and how does it look?
I would say the light's a little bright here.
Right
Yeah,
there.
there you go.
Okay.
Feather that
Okay.
a little bit.
So isn't that great that you can just look right in that
it's so
monitor
nice
and
to
say,
have-
oh, I
yeah,
need to.
that's not quite.
How many pictures have you taken of yourself or you look at it later going, "Oh, why didn't someone tell me to get that hair out of my face? Or
Right.
why did you, take it looking like that?"
Okay.
So yeah, so you're setting it up, looking in the monitor.
I'm looking
on
here
the
but
iPhone.
The camera's there.
So your ultimate photo, you're going to be looking in this lens.
Okay, I'm gonna fix my hair. Okay.
Yeah,
And fix my bangs.
looking good.
Okay, yes. So.
And you want to think about, you
My
don't
other
want that to necessarily be in the photo. So you want to
right,
kind of
so
hover
this
your,
needs to come here.
yeah, hover
Okay.
your finger over the shutter button.
Where I want it to be.
And then when you're ready, look in that camera
Okay.
and
Here I am.
yeah,
Did it go?
just tap it. There
Did
it
I blink?
went.
No, I
It
totally
went.
blinked.
So sometimes you have to be a little patient with.
Oh no, that's
Well,
terrible.
that's a nice laughing shot. Let's try another one.
All right, one more time. Do I go back?
So now, yeah,
So
so
now
you
I've
tap
got
the
back or
screen.
share,
Tap the
so-
screen and just say back.
Okay, so
I think
back.
I'm going to
Let's
raise
try
this a
that
little
again.
bit.
Okay. You have good gadgets.
Isn't it fun? I
I'm
know.
going to give my husband a list. My anniversary's coming up.
Check out my website, erinmanning.com.
He said he liked it when I liked jewelry better, so. All right, here we go. All right.
Okay, so when you see that little spinning thing, it just means
Working,
it's
yes.
thinking,
Okay.
it's thinking.
Here I am. And this is out of the shot, yes. It's working. There we go.
I've got a little, nice, okay, so you're looking at the, nice, okay. And right now, because we're in the studio, we've got a few other.
I waited, I moved. All right, let's try that again. That
That's
would be
gonna
good
look-
for,
that's gonna
wait
look-
till it's done all the way.
Okay, well, that would actually look good on LinkedIn. Like, I don't know if I really want this job or not.
All right, one more. Okay. I'm going to hold it all the way. Okay. Oh, wait, but this isn't the thing. Okay, one more time. Oh my gosh, I have
Okay.
to stop talking.
And I'm going to adjust
Okay.
this.
Thank you.
So, because we're in a studio, we have other lights that are also lighting the stage and lighting me, and we've got some other lights to contend with here. But at home, you're not going to have as many lights. So, let's see. What if I pull this out?
Out more?
Let's see, because I think I just saw some shadow on your face.
Oh, yeah, that's better.
Okay, let's try that.
I think that's better. Okay.
So you're just looking at that as a monitor, but then you're looking in this for the final shot. Yeah, I think that was it.
I'm not moving. There.
That looks pretty good.
did
That looks
Yeah, that's better.
that looks really
I love
good.
the light there.
Let's go with that one. What
I'm
do you
happy
think?
with my hair. My hair looks great.
All right. Yay, Sanse, good job.
Thank
All right,
you.
cool. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you for your patience.
Absolutely, that was fun. So yeah, so if you don't, want to travel with this, you can always bring another kind of reflector, but we've got all kinds of lights going on here, but you could do it pretty much anywhere and control what that camera is doing. So now that we've done all this, I want to show you, does anyone have any questions about this? Because I know I kind of went through a few things kind of quickly. Yes?
Regarding the backdrop, is that naturally wrinkle-free, or do you just maintain it really well?
Hey, great question about the backdrop. So it actually is this stretchy polyester fabric. You can put it in the washer and dryer. So it does get wrinkly when you fold it up. But what I found is if I just throw it in the dryer with a wet towel or something, it just gets everything out, and then just hang it, hang it up. Or if you have a steamer, of course you can steam it, but it doesn't get as wrinkly. And also because it kind of gets stretched out by this, yeah, not as wrinkly. Yeah,
And a couple questions from the internet.
sure.
If someone had a DSLR, would these basic principles be the same? As far as the lighting setup and, maybe they have a remote and that kind of thing.
Yes, if you're using a DSLR, certainly you can try the same thing. The only difference being is, sorry, I keep flipping that around. The only difference is that you're not going to be able to see yourself in a monitor. So that's
Sure.
kind of the plus of this. But absolutely, if you want to play around with sitting in front of your DSLR with remote, definitely do it. And take a lot of pictures, because you're not going to be able to see what you're doing, but out of say 100 shots, a couple of them might really turn out.
And could folks use this lens and also the iPhone with natural lighting indoors if they wanted a window light?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that's really what I was trying to stress in the beginning is you don't have to have all these lights. It's great if you want to, but just go outside with it. That's what I was doing outside where I live. Just found a big green wall, and first I shot selfies, and then I had this set up, and I was shooting away. Just me, my iPhone, and that little camera.
Perfect.
So natural light, and of course, I like to bring a reflector with me everywhere I go. That always
you.
helps.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very good.
definitely. So we've done kind of this. I might try to take a couple more shots and just see how this turns out. And then I want to show you a little bit about the software, because there's some amazing, amazing things you can do with it. Okay, so I'm turned around and I want to make sure my hand's out. And also, just FYI, I'm shooting in the landscape mode here, but you can also, on my tripod, I could just flip it and be shooting in portrait mode too. But I set it up in landscape mode because it's easier to see on the screen. And redoing my hair. Oh, I know what else I was going to show you is a couple things. If you're taking shots and you're just by yourself and you want to mix things up a little bit, this is where you can bring in the scarves. So you know, sometimes you want maybe you're doing a picture for a dating site or something, and you want something more than just your business shot. Maybe you want something a little sexier. So you might have something that you can throw over your shoulders, and since you're cropping, no one knows that you've got something else on in between. And take the shot. So that's just an idea. You can have fun and play around. Okay, so I've kind of worked through the different shooting scenarios, and Sansei, we've got a nice picture of you. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take the memory card out of the phone, because that's where the pictures have been stored, not only on my iPhone, but they're also being stored on this lens. And what's cool about this, so I'm just going to turn it off. You should always turn off your camera before taking out a memory card. The memory card is a little micro SD card, and it is right in here. You're going to be shocked at how small it is, as in micro. Teeny weeny little card, 64 gigabytes on this card. Can you imagine? So this card now has to be put into an adapter. And I'm going to pop this into my computer. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And now I'm going to pop this little, and this comes with it when you buy it, the adapter, which is the SD memory card size. So now I'm just going to pop this little micro card into the SD adapter, and I'm going to pop it into my computer. Thank you so much. All right, get me all plugged in. Okay. All right, so what's happening now is...
Quick question while that's coming up. Is that a RAW file?
No, it is not. So the images that are captured on this particular phone are JPEGs. And the QX100 takes 20 megapixel images, and the QX10 takes 18 megapixel images. So those are pretty good size. Just since we're talking about sizes of images and things like that, while you're shooting on the iPhone, just so you know, the FaceTime camera that's facing you on the iPhone is going to take a lower resolution file than the iSight camera on the other side of the iPhone looking out. So that's kind of a conundrum. And if you're taking selfie shots that you're going to be using online, that's great. But keep in mind, if you're going to be using those for print, they might be a little bit too small in resolution. But these that we're shooting with the attachable lens camera are fine. You can use these for print or otherwise online. Okay, so what I'm using right now is a software program called Portrait Professional, Portrait Pro 12. I just discovered this about, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I started using it. And what it does, I kind of call it the Automagic software. So what it does is it photoshops your pictures for you, as opposed to you having to go in and do it all yourself. I have photoshopped many, many photos in my day, gotten rid of all kinds of wrinkles and blemishes and all sorts of things. And I have lots of pictures on here. I'm going to go to the end. And here are the photos that we took today. And I'm just going to open up one of these. Let's open up this one. Okay, so I'm opening up Sansei's photo, and what it's doing is it finds her face, and it has all these kind of algorithms it uses to make instant adjustments. And I don't want you to be shocked when you first see your photo, because I'm going to make adjustments to it. So it asks you, as it loads, is this female, male, girl, or boy? Okay, I'm going to pick female, and then it does some more kind of algorithms in the background. And what it does is it instantly kind of retouches your entire face, but in my estimation, it looks fantastic, but sometimes I think it looks a little overly retouched. So this is where you go in and you make your own customized adjustments. So right now, what we're looking at, on the left here, I've got Sansei's face, and I want to make sure that I'm moving all these little handles that are on this purple line. They automatically adjust to like the edge of your face and your nose and your eyebrows and things like that, but sometimes it might be just a teeny bit off. So to make sure the retouch goes well, you want to make sure you line all these up about the same. Okay, and you got your chin in there. Okay, so this is all looking pretty good over here on the right, but I think I want to make some more customized adjustments. And to do that, I'm now going to put on my glasses so I can really see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the first thing, when you look over on the right, what I always do first is I go to the face sculpt controls, and it's just a little drop down. I click on it, and you can see the master fade slider at the top. I'm going to scoot this over so you can see it all the way. Okay, so master fade. And right now it just defaults to 42. I don't know why, but they've decided that that's the default. But if I slide this slider, say, all the way over to the right, whoa, it like kind of readjusts your face and your head. And now I'm going to make it way more natural and bring it down to something like, I don't know. I kind of like 6 or 5 or something like that. It's just very subtle. And that's the master fade. They have all kinds of things in here, and you can go one by one and go through each of them. One thing I really like in here is called eye widening. So, you know, sometimes when we have our photograph taken, we smile and our eyes get all squinty. And, you know, you want the smile, but you want the eyes to be open too. And this automatically kind of widens your eyes, which is kind of groovy. So that's in the face sculpt controls. And I could go in, I could plump up your lips. Whoa! We want to do it that plump. Dragged it all the way over to the right. Natural is how we want things to look. So it just does very subtle things. Skin smoothing controls. I'm clicking on that drop down. There's a master fade slider at the top, which I can adjust and affects everything. This is already going in and adjusting if you have any wrinkles, which you don't really have any wrinkles, but you know, we all have little things under the eyes. It just kind of goes in and fixes shadows, removes pores, things like that. Things that the digital camera captures that we don't really see with our eyes and we don't want to see. So we just want to soften them up a little bit, right? So I'm going to just take the master fade and bring that down just a titch like that. Down to like 27, and you know, this is customized. You need to go in and see what looks right to you. Skin lighting controls, I can go into that. I can actually control where it looks like the light's coming from just by moving this around and really playing with that. I'm going to go now into, what's another fun one? Mouth and nose controls, so you can adjust all of those. So right now it's whitening your teeth, it's cleaning your teeth, it's giving you more lip saturation. I could kind of bring that down if I think the lips are looking a little bit too dark. I mean, there's just so much it just automatically does. So you have to kind of go through each one of these and adjust it, you know, to how you want it to look. Hair controls, I would just leave the hair alone. Your hair looks great to me, but you could adjust the coloring amount. You could add more vibrance, lighten it, all sorts of things. Skin coloring and picture controls. You could do other things in here like crop if you wanted to, but I kind of prefer to crop in Photoshop myself. I have more control, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that too, about the best sizes to crop to if you want to post pictures online. I could also adjust the exposure here, like maybe if I wanted it to be, you know, more over, like, whoa, really overexposed or underexposed. So there are all sorts of things you can instantly play with. I think one thing I might have skipped over, did I go to, okay, so I was in eyes. This instantly, you know when you take a portrait headshot, and sometimes as photographers you might go in if you're already photoshopping and you do some things to kind of whiten the eyes, maybe make them look a little more saturated or sharper. This instantly does that, but it's like darkening pupils, it's sharpening the eyebrows, it's doing all kinds of things. All you have to do is just look at the picture on the left and look at the picture on the right, and just make sure that your finished picture doesn't look too different from this, just a little bit better, that's all. Again, I don't condone, you know, making people look absolutely perfect or unnatural, because then when you look at the photo, you're just going to go, oh, They obviously retouched it. You want someone to look at the photo and say, they look fantastic. And that's what we've done. So I think, and whenever you kind of hold your mouse over some of these things, a little tool, a tip will pop up, which keeps happening to me. So you can go in and do lots more with this. So let's say, okay, we've done all these sliders on the right, and there's a couple things that I still want to fix. Like maybe I just want to get a little bit of that line under your eye out, okay? And I may want to zoom in a little bit. So there's a zoom slider at the top, just to click, hold, and drag on that up here on the right. And at the top, in the middle, is something called the touch-up brush. And if I click on that, I can choose a brush strength. I can also choose a brush size up here. And if I just, this is my brush now, I'm hovering it over your face, and it shows up as a little circle as a brush. I can also change the brush size just by tapping on the bracket keys on the keyboard. The right bracket makes it larger, the left bracket makes it a little smaller. And all I need to do is click, hold, and drag over that line, and it, kind of goes away, but it's still sort of there. Let's say, you know what, I just brushed something out, and I don't know, I think I overdid it. So I'm now going to tap on up here on brush size to the brush minus sign and just come over here and now roll over it, and now some of that comes back. So what would you like me to do, Sanse?
I think it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see.
You want me to?
Yeah, I mean, that's always what I have a problem with, is these little puffy things, as I'm getting older.
Don't we all?
Oh, it's the worst.
Yes.
So, I mean, other than that,
I'm just gonna
any of my chins that need to go away, or.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking you're looking pretty good there. So what I'm going to do is up here on the upper right, I'm going to click on Next, and now I'm going to save it. I can save it as a JPEG, a TIFF, or a PNG file. I always like to save to the highest quality, and just click OK. And what it does is it automatically puts that _PP for Portrait Professional in your file name. So now you can store it anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my desktop. You can store it anywhere, but you'll always know, hey, I've already run it through Portrait Professional because I've got the PP after it. Okay, so here's her fabulous photo. So what I'm going to do now is bring it up in Photoshop. And right now I'm using Photoshop CS6, but you could use Photoshop Elements or whatever version you have. And I'm just going to go and open it up. And I put it on the desktop. And I know which one it is because it's got that PP on it, Portrait Professional. Okay, and I want to, I've already got like a crop on it. I don't want to put a crop on it yet. Okay, so what I want to do is crop it. So some things I may want to crop out. We kind of forgot about this because you had a mic on, and the mic now is in the picture. So we could either Photoshop that out or maybe crop it out. One thing I wanted to tell you, when you're putting your picture on any kind of social media, they typically want the picture to be square. So it's a good idea to save it in a couple different versions. I like to save just the original file that I did, so always retouch and then crop. Don't crop and then retouch, because you want to be able to go back and make changes or make it different sizes. So what I recommend is I'm keeping this, and now I'm going to crop it to, let's say, just a square that we're instantly going to put on. I think Facebook is a square, Twitter is a square, Instagram is a square, LinkedIn, I mean, a lot of them are all squares. And then you could also go back and then recrop it maybe in a portrait, depending on whatever you wanted to do. But the other cool thing is, because we took it in the landscape mode, we've got lots of negative space, which is a positive thing, which not only gives the eye a place to breathe in the photograph, but also if you wanted to use this for, let's say, you sold real estate or something, you could have something about your business over there in the negative space of the picture. So it gives you a lot of options, especially when you shoot on white. So we don't have to knock this out of anything, of any background. We can just use it for a lot of different things. So I'm going to go ahead and just crop to square. My friend Janine Warner, who teaches a social media design class here on Creative Live, gave me all kinds of tips on, there's all sorts of different sizes that you can crop to, but basically if you're doing for the social media, it's good to have a square, and 600 by 600 pixels is a good size. Of course, each site has its own parameters, so you might have to do a little research on that for each particular one. But I wanted to crop to, say, I'm going to 600 by 600 pixels. So I've just tapped here on the crop tool in the toolbar, and at the top now I can type in what I want, 600 px. Make sure to put in the px for pixels. And, 72, or sometimes I use 150, either one. I'm going to put in 150 resolution. So here's the square, but I want to move her face up, so I'm going to do some readjustment here. And to keep that aspect ratio of 600 by 600 square while I'm adjusting, I hold my finger down on the Shift key on the keyboard, and then place my mouse in one of the corners, click, hold, and drag like that, and I'm dragging this in to kind of put it in the right spot, and I sort of move her around. Now, I typically like to take headshots where people are a little bit off center, but sometimes you're getting up really, really close in some of these online portrait shots. Being right in the middle might be okay because it's so tight. So I'm going to bring it up and get rid of that microphone and make it so your eyes are kind of in the upper third of the image there, and I'm not really cropping off your head. And just double click, and now I'm going to make it true to size. Looking good. I think Sanse now has her new portrait online photo, and you took it yourself. Ta-da! So those are just some of the things that you can do with using Portrait Professional. Of course, you can crop also within Portrait Professional, but I just personally like to have a little bit more control in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. And I'm going to just zoom in here and look at this, and I'd say it's looking pretty good. Everything looks nice and in focus. The eyes look nice. The hair's looking pretty good. Little hair kind of off to the side, but that doesn't bother me too much. And if it really did, you could go in and do a little photoshopping on that too. But I think that just keeping in mind when you're taking that headshot of yourself, wear something that's not too distracting. Make sure that whatever context you're going to be using it in, that it works within that context. So if you are, let's say you work at a bank and you want to put a picture on LinkedIn. Of course, you're not going to use the selfie of yourself on the weekend vacation with a beer in the background. You're going to have something that's a solid color backdrop in probably a business suit or a solid color shirt. And typically, the darker to mid-tones look really nice. If you're going to wear pastels or lights, try to layer it with something. Jeans jacket, whatever sweater, something like that, that gives it some interest, but that isn't too distracting. Just think super simple, and less is more. So when you're looking at photos like this, it's like, oh, wow, okay. Wow, who took your headshot, Sanse? All right. I'm just going to go back to Portrait Pro quickly and X out of that and open up. So I'm just going to quickly bring in our photo that we did together and just point out to you that if you happen to take a group shot, that it will also help you with multiple faces in the picture. And sometimes it immediately identifies everyone. Other times you might have to click and say, find a new face. It will find a new face and go in and start fixing it. And all you have to do is just click on whichever one you want to work on and start retouching that. So you can have multiple faces in one photograph and really, whoa, okay, I'm looking like I'm 20 again. Great. So I would go back in and obviously do a few adjustments on this so I didn't look quite as fabulous and people thought it was actually a current headshot, not something that was from Throwback Thursday. Oh yeah. So you can go in and make all kinds of alterations and really make things the way you want them to look.
Are you able to change the default for that? So like you were saying, it's coming up sort of in the middle. Can you change if you find yourself constantly going back to a certain setting?
Yes, once you go into the software program, you can set up preferences for yourself so that let's say you're editing a batch of photographs. You know you're going to be doing pretty much the same thing in all of them. You can set that up and make it work so it's instant. Shazam! So how do you feel? Are you excited? Do you feel like you want to go out and take your own headshot now too?
Well, I already did mine.
Not you. How about you? No, I think you now have the knowledge and the tools and hopefully the confidence now to go out and just do some playing around, do some testing, and take your own headshot. Don't be afraid to give it a try because you're going to be the only one there. No one's judging you. No one's huffing and puffing and waiting for you to do anything. You know how to make all the adjustments now yourself, and you can capture your very own headshot and make it look fantastic.
Great. Ready for our last question?
Sure.
So a lot of folks noticed that you were doing this on the iPhone. Is there an iPad solution as well? Do you know? For doing, like, could you use that for doing the selfie?
Oh, absolutely. You can shoot with an iPad
Great,
for
okay,
sure.
cool.
It's just I don't know if there's a clip that you can use on the extender for the iPad, but there might be.
Or
I
you might
haven't
just have
looked
the
for
long
one.
arms.
Yeah, or have a long arm, or put it on a tripod and use a remote, like that remote I was using
Yep.
for the iPhone. You can use that on the iPad and take a shot that way.